Right, we continue to give you more coronavirus updates, and of course in Uganda yesterday President Yoweri Museveni announced a total lockdown to combat the spread of the coronavirus. In his statement he said that citizens were responsible for not following the measures that had been implemented earlier, and thus they had to impose harsher ones. So it's been day one of the lockdown. We now want to cross over to Kampala, Uganda, to the newsroom of NBS TV to speak to an award-winning journalist, Solomon Serawanja, to tell us how it's been there for him and for the residents of Kampala and Uganda as well. Solomon, thank you so much for speaking with us. What does day one of the lockdown look like, Solomon?
Well, I'll tell you this. Everyone is at home, literally, except with some of us who have been given an opportunity to come to work. But for you to drive through the different roadblocks that the army has put on roads, you must have a sticker. Every reporter and maybe news anchor like me and the people who are working in many of the media houses have been given stickers. If you don't have that sticker, you cannot absolutely go past the military roadblocks. They have also allowed, ambulances to work. They have accepted some essential services like those who are working on electricity and on water. But except for that, everyone should stay home.
So what many found quite interesting was that the president did not give much notice, Solomon, when it came to the enforcement of this. He actually announced, I believe, yesterday evening, and he said by 10 p.m. the lockdown begins. Why did he make such a drastic move?
So listen, I think the president is really worried about how everything may turn out. Yesterday, he labored to explain that, he didn't want to take these drastic measures. He didn't want to enforce the curfew and put a ban on public transport. You would see a president who was reluctant to take that decision, but he had to make it because the numbers, Mwaura, as of today stand at 33. Many of them came through from people who had previously visited Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, and Europe, as well as the United States and South Africa. So there's increasing pressure, Mwaura, that government takes these drastic measures to prevent the spread of the virus. He actually said that you need to keep safe, you need to be healthy and you need to keep safe. Otherwise, we'll not have a country with people who are dead. But listen, it's mixed reactions here. So today, as I was coming to work, I spoke to some of the people who were walking to work, especially those who work with factories, because the order was, if you're going to be open for business, especially those who are working in food factories, they have instructed that all owners of food factories should be able to set up temporary structures, accommodation structures where all workers should stay. And if they are not there, the government will come and close that facility.
Yes.
And it came down to even the newsroom. So they have instructed every media house that is broadcasting from the station to actually also set up temporary structures so that when you finish reading the 9 o'clock bulletin, you don't go back home. You also get to the hotel in a way not to take the virus, if you're infected, to the family. It's all these drastic measures, Mwaura. Drastic times certainly call for tough measures.
So does that mean that tonight, after you finish your bulletin, you are going to stay in a hotel, effectively?
So listen, we've had a conversation about this with the CEO, King Karisa, and the top executive here. They have booked up some hotels around the venue, but most of the hotels actually have been closed.
Yes.
So most of them have set their staff back home, but we've been so lucky to find one where many of the staff who are working on night duty and night shift will be sleeping. So most likely I may be spending the night after the 9 o'clock bulletin in a hotel, because then we have a whole broadcast.
I can only imagine. Let's broaden the discussion. A 2015 report showed that 40% of Kampala's population live in informal settlements. They face challenges when it comes to, for example, accessing clean water. Did the president give a plan to cushion those who live on daily wage when he made his announcement yesterday?
And that was the biggest question, Mwaura, because everyone is saying you're locking down the country. But how will people survive, considering that we have majority of the people who live in the city center involved in the informal sector? So the president said that with his government, they have mapped out where every single person who has been, working in the informal sector stays, and they'll be distributing beans, posho, some sugar and salt, as well as some cooking oil to different people. If you ask me, I take that with a pinch of salt, Mwaura, because listen, This is a national lockdown, and it's not only in Kampala, it's a national lockdown. First of all, several questions. One, does Uganda have the capacity to feed its people, especially those in the informal sector? That's quite big, because then we don't have food reserves, we don't have warehouses. So literally what government is going to do is they need money to procure food from different warehouses. And that means that Parliament needs to sit and come up with a supplementary, Cabinet needs to sit to come up with a supplementary budget, and Parliament has to approve it so that they get the money to buy the food. But also, be it as it may that they get the money and buy the food, do we have enough food that is going to be sent out to the different people at local levels? If Kenya is thinking of a lockdown, then they need to look at very many issues, Mwaura.
Okay, and I think you've outlined them quite well. Finally, I know that Uganda was set to hold elections early next year. I read somewhere that 24 people had officially declared their intention to run for the presidency to challenge the incumbent, that's President Yoweri Museveni. What will be the impact of COVID-19 on that election? Is that a discussion Uganda is having?
Well, certainly I can tell you for sure that there's a number of MPs who have come on the floor of the House, and some of them are asking that the elections should be extended at least, because listen, we're already into the election period, and we'll be going to the ballots in February next year. So the Electoral Commission has, for example, previously come out to say that they will not change any, they will not push forward the elections, because it comes about with very many implications, including financial implications. The Electoral Commission still, it has put its foot down and saying that they're extending elections. But the story seems to be changing, with government taking the COVID outbreak in Uganda here very seriously. So I think many opposition politicians, for example, are calling for government to revise the elections calendar, because campaigns are supposed to be beginning very soon, and some MPs are saying that they will not have ample time because the time is closing in. And so conversations are still open. It is still open, and Parliament is in session right now. I've been informed that that's one of the issues on their agenda to be discussed this evening.
Solomon, thank you so much for speaking with us today. And of course, all the best. Stay safe, even as that lockdown continues. Solomon Serawanja, award-winning Ugandan journalist right now, speaking to us from the NBS TV newsroom, also working on news as we speak at the moment, and giving us an update on what a lockdown looks like one day after that announcement by President Yoweri Museveni.